Hello and welcome to another spiritual chat with Carol and Lou. Hello, Carol.
Hello, Lou. Good to see you again.
It's lovely to see you. And also, I'd like to start by saying how wonderful and lovely is the feedback that we have been receiving.
Absolutely amazing. Amazing feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very encouraging to keep going.
Lovely comments from women, loads of women, loads of spiritual soul sisters out there who are helping.
Who are enjoying listening to our truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listening to the truth and listening to, just us speak openly and authentically about our views, about our on spirituality and healing. And we've talked men and taking pain to power, and we've touched briefly on religion. And today we'd like to talk a little bit about environmentalism, spirituality, and authenticity.
Okay.
Right. So I am an environmental activist. I have been an activist. I have been a member of political parties. I've been a member of the Green Party, People Before Profit. And I am somebody who's very I've spoken at various conferences and various events against the mining plans and the gold mining, particularly in the Spurren Mountains. And I see myself as somebody who wants to protect the environment and to really raise awareness, particularly around the climate crisis and things that are impacting future generations. That's where I'm rooted in, I suppose, my motherhood. My being a mother is one of the biggest things that motivates me to be an environmental activist. And I've just been finished a PhD in the relationship between nature experiences and mental health. I also, my late father-in-law who died recently, he was an MEP for the Green Party, and my ex-partner set up the Mid-Ulster Greens. He set it up. I suppose one of the things since I returned back is that I love Ireland. I love the mountains. I love the North Coast. I just think we're known historically for green, and I think our nature spaces could be incredibly beautiful and wonderful, but it's in a really, really sorry state. And I just think there's incredible activists here. I know a lot of incredible environmental activists, like single, but I'm really, really, really disappointed with like the organizations that exist and the Green Party, particularly of Northern Ireland. Like, I just think I find it really hard to understand why, whenever you've got people like you and lots of environmental activists who I've seen and met along my journey, why it's so hard for them to organize collectively and come together, because things are really, really bad here in terms of the environment, our green spaces. So I know you're involved in a lot of environmental.
Yeah, well, my environmental activism goes back to the millennium, when a lot of money was put into the Green Living Fair and such things to try and spread information on the environment, and that was an amazing thing. Went on for a few years, and then it ran out of money, of course, and it stopped. I attended that as a member of Friends of the Earth, and I did learn a lot from Friends of the Earth about how to be an activist. That was my learning ground. But what I did discover was that I felt that Friends of the Earth were more a buffer between me and the government, that they kind of disempowered me a bit. So from then on, most of my activism has been as an individual. I've set up a couple of groups over the years, environmental groups, which were, let's say, taken off me by middle-class people who wanted to build their ego rather than protect the environment. That is definitely an issue in Northern Ireland. There are many amazing working class activists, but they have no platform to come together because, well, it's mostly middle class people that are in the organisations.
Gatekeeping.
Yes, gatekeeping, absolutely.
Yeah, so they're gatekeepers at the top, and I actually think they silence. Like, I remember it was during when Extinction Rebellion was kicking off, and Green Party were ignoring them in Northern Ireland, and I was like, how ignoring one of the most exciting, brilliant movements, because they're ignoring them because they're very middle class, and we have the power, and we're going to play the game. And I'm like, you need to wise up. We're in a climate crisis. Comment saying, why are you ignoring what's happening? And they just ignored me, and they wonder why they lost their seats. I'm not surprised the MLAs lost their seats, because the Green Party treat environmentalists with disdain.
Yes.
With disrespect, like you or
I joined the Green Party with great hopes to become part of the environmental movement in Northern Ireland again. And after paying my fees for over a year and getting a few questionnaires asking me would I like to stand for them or would I like to get more involved, and I filled everything in and sent it back, and nothing happened. And then I realised that the only place they really exist is Belfast. And I'm just too far away from Belfast to run up and down there. I'm in Upper Ban, and we need a great presence in Upper Ban. Belfast isn't enough. So I left.
Yeah.
I'm back to being an individual activist again, only I call myself a spiritual activist these days.
I like that. But also I'm west of the Ban, and we're really ignored. Like, they often, like for the last election, I think in South Tyrone and Fermanagh, they sent one of their Belfast people to stand. And I'm like, are you like that? And I find her really rude. I find her really rude, really dismissive, and really unfriendly. But being sent because the culties know the past ones to tell them how to behave or how to do things, and it seems really egocentric. Carol, my dog, is what I'm going to come back. Hold on, I just let the dog. So, what were we saying? Yeah.
Well, now the funny thing is, I am from Belfast, but doesn't get me in.
Well, I was born in Belfast.
I grew up in Craigavon, right? And that's a place that everybody put down. People from Craigavon were useless. What would they have to add to anything? But some of the most amazing activists grew out of the hardships of Craigavon.
Oh.
Right? And during my time with Friends of the Earth, I discovered that the most polluting factories are built around that area. And any working class area, you'll find that's where the polluting factories are. That's find where the water pollution is, because the middle classes don't want it on their doorstep. So people in Craigavon knew they were being trampled on. And the power that they showed when they got together over the SRC at the lakes issue was amazing. And it showed how grassroots activists have amazing power when they get together. And all these organizations have nowhere for that to go.
No.
So, So the only group I will ever join again will be a community fighting to save its land. Because that's where the power is.
Well, is that not what the Green Party should be? Like, if the gold mining plans were on the Ards Peninsula, darling.
Well, that's right. Yeah. They'd all jump.
Yeah.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
There's too much of that.
I think it's just really it's really sad, because there's an opportunity. There should be a lot more people organizing, but the gatekeeping And also there's a woman on social media, I'm not going to say her name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the research, actually one of my mentors, the supervisor, is in the Green Party, and he's incredible. Like, he's amazing. But I don't understand. Like, they seem to listen to him, but they're not actually really listening to him, because he's like, this is the problem, this is climate crisis, and he's very clearly saying it. But yet the party is not actively, and we talked about this, anti-capitalist. It's not overtly actively anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
At this point in time, because I've been doing my research in politics for 4 years, and I wasn't thinking like this, but then when you do a little bit of education, you're like, okay, you cannot at this point be a credible, and I mean credible environmentalist, and also not be anti-capitalist. They're not you have to be.
They are not compatible, because the resources are being used by capitalism to make money.
Yes.
And that's where it's got to stop, with capitalism.
But they're not openly, overtly anti-capitalist. Especially the Green Party, and like the Green Party Ireland, it's disgraceful at the minute. So this is where I think and a lot of the research says about how working class people whose homes are under threat mobilize and organize really, really well, are actually what push for change. But the Green Party aren't really supporting that many. Like, I was looking the gold mining and all that there. I was looking at the different pages west of the Ban for the Green Party North, right? Because like and there's a couple of people who are really lovely and they're involved west of the Ban. But I was looking at all of their pages, right? Bearing in mind local elections coming up.
Yeah.
None of them have posted anything. The last, I think it was like, there's Mid Ulster Greens, there's West Tyrone, there's South Tyrone and Fermanagh, right? The last that been posted on their social media accounts on Facebook was August 2022. You know what I mean? And like, or in April and May and August 2022, this is an environmental and climate crisis.
Yeah, well,
a bit too comfortable.
My experience of environmentalism in Northern Ireland was there are little groups, little cliques.
Yes.
And as long as the information is being passed around them, they forget the rest of us. So that doesn't work. Everyone needs to be involved in environmentalism, like everyone, no matter what class they are. It all needs to come together. And excluding people because they're not in the cliques is seriously foolish.
I always felt like they discriminated against me because I was autistic, so, you know, intense, and they made me feel like I was too much. But to be honest, I actually think they're not enough. Like, I'm like, I think you're so part of the problem that I'm not interested in you anymore, as I just see the Green Party being anything more than just a group of people who want to look like they care about the environment.
Chat. Yeah. And well, many years ago, I was a member of Northern Ireland Labour Party. And I would have been places where the Green Party were. And at that time, I was working as an environmental activist. And I saw them and I listened to them, and I had absolutely no inclination to join them. I didn't see them as a way forward. You know, so, well, that hasn't changed. My opinion of that hasn't changed.
But there is somebody, I was saying, there's somebody who I have watched them just really, this woman who's very vulnerable woman, beautiful person, right? Single mom, and very writing openly about domestic abuse, like how she suffered. And this party puts itself forward as like, as really good for women. It's not.
Absolutely, I've seen that.
I've seen really, I put in a complaint and they just ignored me, but that's what they do with women who challenge them. But this woman has really experienced incredible domestic abuse. They canvassed for them and supported them, and they ignore her. They treat her with such disrespect and disdain.
Yeah.
I don't know why they expect to be voted in when they treat even the people who support them with such disrespect. I
Well,
don't.
there are other parties in Northern Ireland that get in on things like religion, who are not doing anything for the benefit of Northern Ireland. And yeah, sometimes if you just appear to be something, whether you really are or not, people don't look deep enough to see that they're not doing it, and they vote.
But they didn't vote. They lost their MLS. They lost.
Actually, yes.
They
People,
don't seem to
maybe
have
people are
anybody.
starting to wake up.
They don't have any local elections. I don't know if anybody's standing west of the ban. They've created, and I'm like,
Standing in Upper Ban.
what?
There's nobody standing in Upper Ban for the Green Party.
Yeah, I'm all for the independence now. Like I'm
Yep.
completely. I was out canvassing for independence, and I'm thinking about
Yeah.
it. Like I'm all about independence.
Well, yes, I have totally given up on groups in Northern Ireland because they're all about ego. They're not about the actual issues that matter. If they were, they'd be doing a hell of a lot more.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, independence are the way forward.
What I hope we're bringing to awareness about spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
People are seeing the difference between spirituality and religion, and the more that we speak to each other,
Yes,
is that we're authentic. We're not sitting going, oh, we're saying this is what I think. This is what I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm allowed to express myself. I'm allowed to have these conversations where we say,
we're not on here to change other people's minds. We're here to show them how we think about the world, and it's up to them whether they think we're right or wrong. And I'm nothing invested in that either way. It's just my thoughts on my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. If nobody agrees with me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's me. It's my life. It's what I believe. And I'm happy to share that.
Carl, I say this all the time. I say this is spirituality. I say I am not asking you to think like me.
No, because spirituality is a strange one. It's an individual religion found by the individual. And where that takes you to is a realization that we are all one. And we are all connected.
Yeah.
So that's pretty powerful. So what I do for others, I do for me. So of course, I'm going to speak up and say what I believe in the hope that it will maybe bring awareness to even one person.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you're allowed to have your own thoughts and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to come from education. They don't have to come from the church. They can come from your own self. If you turn inwards, they are there. Mm-hmm. That's spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So on the environment, after all those years, and it was many years of trying to be an activist in Northern Ireland, I turned to shamanism. And the realization that the real guardians of the earth mm-hmm. are Great Spirit and our ancestors. And they will protect the earth, even if we don't. And what we're actually doing, we cannot destroy the earth, but we cannot destroy our ability to live on the earth. And that is the most strange thing I've ever thought about, is as creatures that depend on the resources of the earth to exist, we're destroying it. Now, who would do that?
Right, but that brings us back to spirituality, because most people don't think for themselves. They aren't thinking for themselves. And in these parties, what I've noticed is because there's so much structure,
mm-hmm.
and what I've heard from other activists that have been treated really badly, is that they're all like toeing the party line and nobody's allowed to be authentic. And then they lose sight of what actually is important, which is people becoming empowered, which is what is needed. We need to empower people.
Absolutely. Empowered people.
Empower people, but these structures are
Disempower.
which is really actually I think, and I'm going to say that I think the most dangerous people in Northern Ireland in terms of maintaining the dysfunctional status quo are the comfortable middle classes.
Yes.
The comfortable middle classes who roll their eyes and think they're better than Sinn Féin and DUP, and they go, oh, I'm not political. They are the reason this place is the way it is. They are the status quo. And they think they're not, but because they do nothing about it, and because they ostracize people like me and you who stick our necks out, and they actually are supporting and maintaining and strengthening the dysfunction within our political. And then you've got the working classes who are trying to, and then you've got it's the middle class, I believe, are the reason we are this. And the civil service, don't
go there.
Sure, they're paid a lot of money to maintain it. They're paid a lot. You've got like an almost an upper middle class that has been designed with the civil servant, and they all get paid to maintain the complete dysfunction and deterioration
of Northern Ireland
services.
Yeah, absolutely. And the DUP walk right into their hands by not working, and the working classes are crying out for some help.
Yes.
And our MPs, our MLAs, our councils are ignoring them in their plight because they're okay. They can go home and switch their heating on. There's been nights I've gone to bed and I've been shivering because I couldn't afford to switch my gas on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that pushes me to be an activist because I say, I do not deserve to live like this.
No.
And I won't do it. So therefore I will stand up and I will speak and I will be heard.
Good on you, Carol.
Yeah. Because I have nothing to lose and a lot to gain.
Yeah.
Until the working classes stand up to the middle class and the elites and say, we are not being your scapegoats anymore for your capitalist gains. Because in order for you to gain through capitalism, we all have to lose. And it's time it stopped. So there you go. So that's the activism we need.
That's exactly what we need, Carol.
But that's not going to come from NGOs or any kind of party. That's an individual who needs to stand up for their rights.
Yeah.
And if those individuals become a big group of individuals, that's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's so many, it's becoming a larger group. So you're right. So the working classes, those, like, for me, like but like, I'm just seeing people like, but neurophobia and ableism and people being treated badly if they've got mental health issues. I'm like, would you all catch a grip? Like, it is no sign or measure of good health to be well adjusted to a very sick society.
Absolutely.
And they think, and I'm like, I just actually think the more I research it and everything, I'm not listening to one more middle class person roll their eyes about no politics. I went into a cafe recently and they were like, oh, don't bring politics in here. And I'm like, everything's political in a way. And the fact that you exist. And I'm like, okay, but that's kind of, you need spaces where there's not the us and them.
Yeah.
To understand that poverty and you choosing between, or people choosing between heating and eating, is because people aren't standing up and people aren't taking on, and we need more people actually. And that's the spiritual revolution, and that's why each other and really saying, actually, why am I paying rates? Why are we doing this? And benefits, people and benefits.
Well, I'm going to be really honest on my position over the past couple of years. I have been living on £74 a week. That's it.
Yeah.
Benefits because I had an accident and I wasn't able to work.
Yeah.
And I worked my whole life. I had 2 broken bones in my wrist and I had a broken pelvis. I couldn't go to work. And
No.
it was then that I discovered that you don't even get enough to live if you can't work.
Yeah.
And so many middle-class people look down on people on benefits and say, they're going on holidays, they're doing this, they're doing that. Well, if they're going on holidays doing this and doing that, they're doing something other than claiming benefits. Because I could hardly afford to go to the shop, never mind on holidays. And that is the reality. And that reality is the elderly, it's single parents, it's people like me who are nearly at the end of their working life, but not quite, who are unable to work anymore. Like £74 a week on a ESA.
Yeah.
And nothing on universal credit. And out of that £74 a week, I had to pay £100 a month towards my rent.
Yeah. And this is it. And this is,
and that's what working class people who are not working are living on, while people are sitting in their big houses looking down at them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm an activist.
Yeah. And people with disabilities,
disabilities,
are like, because
have been hammered.
I actually think they've just, I think that what a lot of them, it's inhumane and it's internalized. It's snobbery. Well, but that's snobbery is often associated with, I knew a lot of people, like I brought up middle class and a lot of them were not educated. Like they were just entitled.
Snobs.
They were entitled, but snobbery, if you're a snob, I just think you're not that smart. Like that's, you're not, you have a spiritual issue. Like that's lack of intelligence. Like wise up. You're not better than anybody because you've got a big car. Like fuck up. But that's people like Christians. Like they think like I have a big car and I'm a better person. I'm like, get your ass into church and spend a bit longer praying, love. Because that's not.
Like when you talk about religion, what are churches doing for the people that are struggling at the minute? They have lots of money. What are they doing?
Don't even start. Oh my God, they're a disgrace.
What do they do for the homeless? People sleeping on the street and churches sitting empty every night.
I know. They should be open for everybody.
Yeah, 24 hours a day.
I know.
Yeah. So, well, we're back to that again.
I know. But there was something though before I wanted to say. I think the thing is there is a way for us all to live differently, and it requires what they call a paradigm shift or a mindset shift. And it goes back to I think that the middle classes are responsible for their apathy. Their apathy is hugely problematic and why things can be the way they are. And I think it's easier for people to think they're morally superior than them to.
Yes, all us working class people, we're in this state because we're stupid. And we don't know how to live. And we're all alcoholics and drug addicts. Well, I don't drink and I don't take drugs. And I'm very intelligent.
Yes, you are.
And I live on £74 a week. It's improved a wee bit recently, but it took a long time to get it.
But Carol, you're an incredible human being who really, really helps people.
Yeah. Many, many hundreds of people over my life.
That's what I wanted to end with. Okay.
Yeah.
I came back, I was a doctor's daughter, GP, right?
Yes.
Came back 2014. I think the kindest, most generous, most beautiful people in this country have the least.
Yes.
They're the working classes. They're often the disabled. They're often those. I have had worked as an honesty box. I have seen people with next to nothing give me the most, and people, doctors, solicitors, trying.
Yeah, I have emptied my purse into the hand of homeless people at the side of the street, not knowing where I get any more after that, and I didn't care.
Yes,
I didn't care, and that's compassion, and that's what's missing in the middle classes. Compassion.
I think we're going to end it there.
I think we are. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou, again for another wonderful chat.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for your friendship and for this. This is just.
I always share, Lou, because silence is an enabler of abuse. And I will not be quiet. Good night.
Good night.